And we are live. Let's just wait for the streaming updates. Everyone should be joining in very shortly. Meanwhile, Mr. Subhanjan, how's it going with you? Today is the final day of the Lifetime D launch, and how do you feel? How was the entire experience so far?
I think the most important thing for me to acknowledge is that you guys had a lot of role to play in terms of my education about lifetime deals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So typically, what is your experience of lifetime deals? Is you going and buying something on PitchGround or any of the other lifetime deal sites? So you pay some money, you buy something, you calculate your, how great a deal are you getting, and so on. That's that. It
Mm-hmm.
ends there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then of course individual products, the experience with them, what kind of support, what kind of response, so on and so forth. But that's really personal. Nobody's really talking about it beyond a point.
Right, right.
So you really cannot imagine what goes on behind actually running a deal. Like we ran it for like 45 days. What is the involvement from the platform like PitchGround? What is the involvement of the founder and the team? And if you want to leave a good impression, which I believe we have, how much of education we need, and lot of the credit of whatever we have done on PitchGround goes to you.
No,
I'm I'm being
I think I would 100% give the credit to the product creators like you who are super passionate, and then all the early adopters who are crazy about brand new products,
Yeah.
adopting new technology. They're so open to adding new things, new tech into their workflows. That an enterprise might take 5 years to implement, right? But small businesses today, they're growing with such a rapid pace that they have the power to literally overtake an enterprise in next 5 years or 7 years because they are relying heavily on tech. And all of these new enterprises, all of these new small businesses that are coming in, they understand the power of technology, and that for me is so incredible. That hats off to all these small businesses because they're all coming in, they're all doing fantastic work, and at the same time, they're ready to adopt new technology, which is so very crucial. You talk about going live, they're ready to do that, right? With an enterprise, it will probably take them a year to convince them that you're telling them the importance of going live, right? But small
Yeah.
businesses, if they see a tech and they see the importance, they take a decision like very, very quickly. And that sort of like helps out. So with Mrs. Subhanshan, let's dive in. You have secretly introduced a brand new feature that you did not talk about anywhere so far. So we thought today is the last day for PitchLink. Let's kill to the bang. Let's introduce this brand new feature and how this brand new feature can be such a killing feature for you. Guys, if you I've dropped a hint, I left link in the description. So make sure that the link is at the very end. Make sure to click it, fill the details, and you will experience something incredible. And that's something that you can start doing yourself and get and give your leads an incredible experience whenever you're going live, whenever you're doing webinar, your social media posts, and whatnot. So we're diving into all of those things. Mr. Suvanjan, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome, awesome, Mrs. Subhanshan. So let's start. And, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Guys, if you have any questions about PitchLink, then make sure to drop your questions in the comment. We'll be answering each one of those questions. And again, today is the last day for PitchLink on a lifetime deal, and it is never coming back. So if you ever wanted to make more money and get more sales, which I'm sure you do want to do with your business, PitchLink is a must-have product. It's not a luxury product. It is a must-to-have a product. It's like you using an Excel sheet for your business. If you want to increase your sales, PitchLink is like an Excel sheet for your business. You need to have this in your toolkit. And that's something that we're going to dive into a brand new case study for you guys, brand new use case for you guys, with this incredibly powerful new feature that Mr. Subhanjan is going to talk about. So, Mr. Subhanjan, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome. The screen is all yours. So let's get started, Mr. Subanchan.
Okay. So I must give again Udit credit for the title of this uh, presentation, which is one to many to one. So when we are doing an outreach as an organization, what is it that we are doing? We are, as an organization, say take it as a one, we are trying to reach out to many, and then the trouble begins. When some of those people start coming back, our ability to track, our ability to ensure they've all got our story, this whole personal, so this many is made up of many ones, right? There are human beings at the end of that spectrum, and there are many human beings that we're reaching out to, and in those we have those few who are interested in our story. And this feature, which we promised, and we are ready with it, we are going to roll it out to all of you in the next couple of weeks, is what we call the campaign feature. And that's what you will experience is a game changer. So I want you to do one thing. There is a link in the description somewhere. While I am walking you through this one to many to one idea and how sales is changing and how PitchLink is sort of fitting into this new narrative and helping you fit into that narrative as salespeople, I would request all of you, and I don't know who all you are there, right? Thank you for coming. But I don't know you personally. I request you to go check that link out. That is the story of our association with PitchGround and the story of PitchLink. I want you to experience that by clicking that link. And then I'll show you how it actually adds up and comes back to our ability to individually interact with each one of you. Okay, so please do me this favor, whether you're 3 of you, 5 of you, 10 of you, whoever you are, if you can, please do click on that link, maybe on a separate window, and or mute this one and go and check that out, and do that for me. And by the time I'm done with this, which should maybe take me about 15 minutes or 20 minutes, this is a short presentation assimilating the ideas of selling during this strange times that we are in. I was speaking with someone today earlier, and one of the things came about is that it's not that what PitchLink is doing was built during COVID. It is pre-COVID. We have been building this product for the last 3 years. But COVID sort of brought and placed us front and center of the sales process. And why? Pretty much like remote work. It's not that remote work is new. There were companies like Basecamp, 37 Signals, the company behind Basecamp. They were always remote. A company like Zapier, completely remote. PitchGround is completely remote. So there were companies even pre-COVID. We were completely remote at least a year and a half back. There are many companies which were actually sort of finding the value of going remote. But today, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, mainstream companies are saying our workforce can work remote indefinitely. That was basically a trend which was already gaining momentum, being put in the center, and said, no, there is no more time. We have to switch today. Similarly, there has been a major shift happening in sales where the information asymmetry, which was in the favor of the seller, and I've spoken about this multiple times through this 6 weeks of engagement on the platform, the information asymmetry has squarely shifted from the seller to the buyer. The buyer is in charge. You are in charge of this communication that we are having, not me. I can communicate, I can tell my story, but you are the one who is going to decide whether you're going to use this tool or not. This shift is now complete. The buyer is completely on the saddle. Our job is to provide information quickly and completely and make it easy for you to engage and thereby arrive at a decision to continue to work with us, the vendors, right? So that's where we are. One to many to one answers a big question. When we do webinars, when we do outreach, there obviously are a bunch of people who will be more excited than the others. How do we at that moment start engaging with them? It's a very difficult process. PitchLink actually has the solution. So the link that I've shared with you, it gives you a narrative about the product. And these are, I mean, if you are coming and interacting with me over the last 5-6 weeks, you will find repetition in that. But imagine that you had not spent a lot of time with PitchLink or with me, and you are looking at, you have come to my webinar, and I'm requesting you that, hey, while I present you with my thoughts, here is a link. Go and click it and check out my story, right? So what happens then is that I have been able to effectively encourage the people who are more interested than others to go and click and start engaging with my story. And that starts a completely new relationship which goes beyond the webinar. And we have been able to successfully attract the ones who were ready to interact. So quickly to touch upon what has happened. COVID has changed the buying selling landscape. To start with, we are all at home. And what was in the making through account-based marketing, through inbound marketing, through permission marketing, and so on and so forth. These are ideas which were developing since 1996. Since 1996 through till now, when in 2011, 2012, these ideas became mainstream. When inbound was launched in 2006, it was not mainstream. It was an idea. It was a good idea, but it was an idea. Even before inbound, there was direct marketing, which was pioneered by Ogilvy and Mather, where you would get personalized pieces of communication on mail, and then there were response mechanisms which were tracking. So the concepts were similar, where intent was tracked. So all these events were ongoing, and all these events were culminating towards this scenario where the buyer is now firmly on the buying selling transaction saddle. There are three major shifts. This is from McKinsey B2B sales survey. There is a lot of change in spend, which means most companies are buying less. Some companies are buying the same amount, and some companies are accelerating. The digital interactions have increased. Although even before COVID, Gartner report said that 60 to 75% of the buyer's journey had already become digital. Now that is getting accentuated, is getting accelerated. And currently, the companies which were not firmly on board into this digital journey has started accelerating their adoption of digital systems 2 to 3 times, according to McKinsey. And the other thing that has come across, that being remote is finally not a bad thing. So one of the resistance, in fact, last year I ran a series of podcasts called TalentWise, discussing future of work, where I've spoken to heads of HR, CEOs all over the world, and you can find it still. I think it's still available on iTunes. You can go and check it out. TalentWise, we did, I think, 26 or 27 episodes. Anyway, so the focus was there, and we were talking about remote work, and still people were talking about gig economy. People were talking about all kinds of people, but still it's sort of millennial focused idea that millennials are into it, and so it was something which was happening in the periphery. Same examples we are using, Zapier and 37 Signals, Basecamp, but it was not mainstream. That's now gone, right? So this is some data from the McKinsey report, which I just mentioned. You can see for yourself. And this is COVID related, this data. Similarly, self-service matters. Now, what's happening is businesses where they are enabling the buyer to find their way around and gathering data without interacting with the sales organization of the buyer, the seller, sales organization of the vendor. They're doing better because there is a definitely increase in preference for self-service channels. PitchLink fits in right there. We are doing a webinar, we are doing an outreach, we are adding it to our tweets. Instead of putting a about me page, you are putting a pitch link where people not only can come and see you speak about what you stand for, can hear the narrative of the story that you are focused on today. They can experience it in multiple files and formats, in video and audio, and all of it interactively on that link, right? So essentially you are allowing the buyer to know you the way you'd want them to know you. So it's your narrative, your story flow. We call it a pitch flow. Your pitch flow, featuring you and your ideas and your product, whatever that is. And at the same time, this link, which is sort of a generic link, because it's out there, right? Anybody can click it. That generic link magically transforms into a personalized link as people start clicking and getting into the pitch. That's the crux of what we are building. Back to COVID and selling. So essentially, where I started, the information asymmetry has shifted from supply to the demand side. And if you read David Cancel, he's one of the big vocal proponents of this shift. And he runs a very well-known company called Drift. He was in HubSpot earlier, and he actually formulated this whole concept called conversational marketing. He talks about this shift, which is complete, and says that the way we are doing business is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. Our systems, the way we reach out, the way we engage, doesn't work anymore. I couldn't agree more. So what is this era that we are talking about? This era has 3 main pillars or 3 main thrusts. One is that our traditional selling method is based on interruption. When I put out a link, like I'm doing now, and I'm requesting you to go and click on it, whoever does that is doing so on his own, right? I cannot make you click it. I'm not tricking you to click it. I'm saying, here is my story, please click on it. And you may find it in yourself to go and click on it, which is completely different from my stopping this webinar and saying, you know what, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Everybody click on this link and check it out. If you don't click on it, you are not continuing on this webinar. Buyers are not buying interruption anymore. And we are in the permission economy. Permission Marketing is the book written by Seth Godin in 1999. I spoke about this many times because it's a fantastic book, and he spoke about this, as you can make out, 21 years back. So this is nothing, fundamentally nothing new I'm talking about, right? The third and very critical component, I mean, I can discuss for hours on this one. Our whole system of surreptitiously tracking data, we have to wean ourselves away from that. Trust me, and I can provide data. 95%, I could have said 100, but I don't want to get into controversy. Somebody will raise somewhere and say, no, it works for me. So yeah, 5%, it may still work. Everything works. Cold call will work, cold email will work. People will click on phishing mails. I mean, people do that. And if you do it at scale, I mean, even if it is 1 or 2%, it's a lot. I mean, send out 1 billion mails, 2% click on your phishing mail, and you get hold of like a couple of million bank accounts. That's a good deal, but you can't possibly run your business based on that. So we always fall prey to vanity metrics. Web 1.0 was about eyeballs, page views. Mobile app 1.0, which is after the App Store was launched by iPhone, was app downloads, right? So people could raise money based on the fact that an app has been downloaded 1 million times, or a site has page views of 20 million per month, and so on. All those sites are gone. Basically, whether 20 million people visited my website or not means nothing if nobody finally clicks through my purchase button. So it is not about eyeballs. It is about relevant eyeballs, interested eyeballs, convinced eyeballs. So I'm just using this as a loose example. A lot of data that we believe are useful, like which documents that I sent were opened, which slide was looked at for how long. If I have sent a 5-minute video, did the person leave in the 30 seconds or 2 minutes? It is, I mean, with the risk of making some people unhappy, it's like the happiness you get when you see 2,000 views of your post in LinkedIn. It means nothing. It literally means nothing. How they calculate views, what construes views. I once saw one data set which said that if you looked at a post for more than 3 seconds, it's construed a view. Now, I have done a sprint of 500 posts on a daily basis on LinkedIn, starting 1st January 2019 till I think April of this year. 500 days, I did it non-stop. I had posts which had 30,000 views. I had posts which had 200 views. And honestly, when I was writing it and posting it every day, I really didn't care about how many people saw it. What was really very, very critical for me is how many people, not even likes. Like is easy. If you know me and you are connected with me on LinkedIn and my post surfaces on your feed, it's very easy to just hit like. It literally means nothing. literally. And believe me, my post would have been viewed cumulatively couple of million times. Viewed means nothing. What really means is how many people are commenting and engaging with that post. That's when you know they were involved, they were moved, or they read it and they had something to say. I will even discount like great post, and I used to get a lot of those great post. I don't know whether he read it or not. There will be 2 comments, 3 comments in a post which would have had 30,000 views and 200 comments. If you honestly ask me, I will say maybe 10 comments were worthwhile. The rest were like people sort of piled on. Somebody liked it and it went into their circle, and they somebody else saw it and they saw somebody known as. It means nothing. Coming back to our data, a lot of the data we are collecting at the cost of losing the trust of the customer is of no use. It has no value. We are in the era of ethical analytics. We have to tell the buyer, I need to see what you're doing with my stuff, and I'll be extremely grateful if you let me see it. But even if you don't, doesn't matter. You are an identified prospect. Please look at what I have to offer, and I'll wait for you to turn around and start engaging with me. That will be the real data to track. What buyers really value, and this is again from the McKinsey report, is speed, transparency, expertise. So speed I spoke about. How quickly can we turn around, and how nicely this link business actually fits into that. If any of you have gone and clicked, I will show you that I know that you have clicked, and I have got data to show that. Okay, I'll show it to you end of this presentation. Transparency, as I said, declare your intent, declare your intention to engage, and request for engagement. If the buyer is interested in your proposition, they will engage, they will turn around, they will ask you questions, they will answer your questions. So for example, PitchLink, in fact, a couple of slides are there, we'll go over them quickly. PitchLink allows you to add a discovery form end of your pitch flow, right? The first signal that the buyer is interested, and this form pops up at the end of the flow on its own. The buyer doesn't have to trigger it. Once it pops up, if the buyer has ignored and moved forward, you have lost your first battle, so to say. The buyer is still not ready to give you information. It may happen later, and there are enough ways for the buyer to stay engaged, the buyer to continue to engage, and enough ways for you to get back to them and say, hey, do you need any assistance? Which you would have done possibly by sending a mail after seeing that they have looked at 3 slides or looked at a video for 2 minutes. You can do that without knowing that. It doesn't matter, because they have not come back to you, whether you know or not. It's a very simplistic thing to say, they were waiting at the pricing page, or they were waiting on the competitor analysis. I think we should go and give them more data. That's good, but that's assumption. For all you know that he just stopped looking at your pitch and was taking a call. There's no way to differentiate. There's no way to figure out exactly what happened, whether he was really spending time looking at your slide deck on that particular deck, or he was reading your PDF document which explains your ROI and so on. You really cannot figure it out. It's done by a machine. The machine is not talking to the buyer. The machine doesn't know. And lot of eyeball tracking technology and all that we are talking about, that all is fine within the organization, where I can tell my employees that I'm going to track your eyeballs so that I know you're not sleeping in the job. Try doing that to your buyer. Try doing that to your wife. You'll see what happens. So we need to lose that dependence on data, which means nothing, and focus on the actual, which is the engagement, which is the turning around of the buyer and engaging with you. That's transparency. The last is expertise. It is not about selling your product only. It is also about educating the buyer. For example, every single, in fact, there is a mail which is going to come to all of you who have bought our deal on PitchGround, is that please tell your prospects that PitchLink, the platform you're using to talk to them, does three things. One, their data is completely secured. You cannot see anything till they give you permission. If you share it, that is the buyer shares it to a colleague, you cannot see whom it has been shared with till that person gives permission. There are products out there, I'm not going to name them because I'm not here to change their business, but there are products which sell on the USP that if your prospect shares it with X, with the CEO, with the CFO, you will get to see their name and an email. That's a horrible thing to do. The CEO may not be wanting to be exposed. I mean, it's all good. I mean, you talk of organizational structure, ABM, collecting data. There are many other ways of doing it. By reading their annual report, by looking at their company structure, enough data is available. You don't have to do it when you're sharing 3.5 files. And it's not appreciated. And I'm happy to listen to your feedback. I mean, maybe somebody out there today is there who can say, no, a CFO was very glad that he was sort of presented to me because of his junior shared something with him, and then I reached out to him and he said, oh, you changed my life. I'm so glad that he let you see that he shared it with me, and your tracker showed you that it was me, and you reached out to me. I mean, I would like to hear those stories because it will be nice to get a feel that it's working somewhere. But most of the places, it's not appreciated. You have to go in and educate the buyer about things he or she doesn't know. For example, I was talking about PitchLink. You go and tell them, we see nothing till you give permission. A. B, you can have a secure chat on this link. Although I have sent it to you, I have no visibility. You have a completely secure chat within your team. So you can forget this whole problem of having multiple mail threads to be managed on my proposal. And third, none of you have to download or manage my collaterals. All you need to keep track of this link I'm sending. Everything is right here. You'll never lose a conversation. Nothing is going to fall through the cracks. You'll never lose. You'll never have to search where the hell did I download and keep those files that is referring to. You need to educate. Your expertise similarly has to go out and say, okay, your buying team is not clear about remote buying because you are all not together. You're not brainstorming together. Can I do a webinar and help you guys to figure out how remote buying is working these days? So I can bring in my expertise from my experience from the other accounts we are selling to. And these two companies have really managed it well because they were already doing it earlier. And I have my CFO and my head of business would be happy to come and participate. I'm going to put it together. Would you want your buying team to be part of that webinar? I'm going to do it only for you. 7 of you, I'll do it for you. I'll spend 3 hours. I'll get my head of business. I'll get my head of technology, and I will walk you through that. Would you be interested? Share your expertise. PitchLink is sort of built for this era. The whole premise of PitchLink is synchronous discussion is overrated in the early stages. Yes, finally you have to do a face-to-face, but most of the time it's not necessary. So what is important is when you are stringing together your narrative, you should be able to add context to the collaterals that you are presenting. And we built a completely new way of handling it, and we call it context bridge. You can create audio, video, and text context bridges to sort of help people transition from, say, a PowerPoint to a demo, or a PowerPoint which is sort of talking of the market space to the premise where your competitors are operating, from there to a SWOT analysis, and then to a demo. And in each step, you can add your voice or video or text and add context and help them transition. You saw this, now I'll show you that. And this is why I'm going to show you that. That bit, which you would have done in a face-to-face, you would have added that context yourself. You can actually do that inside PitchLink. PitchLink also helps you know your customer. We have a Chrome extension called PitchLink Discovery. It's, as an extension, it's nothing revolutionary. I mean, there are hundreds of Chrome extensions that you have. What it does very well is that it is super integrated inside your PitchLink account and allows you to do research. So for example, if I've got to pitch to one of you, say you are working in the mortgage industry and I need to understand, I don't have a lot of understanding about that, and I am looking for information, I'm looking for challenges in selling mortgages, I'm looking at data points and so on. I'm also looking at you and your company and your various colleagues who I believe would be sort of part of the buying team. As I'm collecting these, I can on the fly create projects, and inside the projects create folders where I can save all this data. So these are financial data, this is competitors, these are the problems, this is a McKinsey report, this is a Gartner report, so on and so forth. And all of that goes into the discovery section inside content, and they get stored there. So when I'm actually building my pitch flow, I'm thinking of my pitch flow, I can refer to all of them. So you could have possibly done it with the Evernote extension or some of the note-taking extensions. The difference is, using this, you can not only collect it, which is what you would do with Evernote, but you can actually put them in exactly where they should be, including you can write notes. So if you're collecting something and you see something interesting, you say, okay, I have clipped this because I think I can connect it to their current market strategy, and so on. So you can leave those notes. So when you're looking at it, say 2 weeks from then, you have not lost context of why that thing was clipped and collected and put inside your repository. The other big deal is about engagement, and we are completely about engagement. So communication, which is building the pitch flow and sending it out, and conversation, which includes the feedback form, which includes the inbuilt chat. And the chat is actually great, and I'll tell you why. You can not only chat about the overall pitch. So imagine your pitch flow is here, and it is made up of multiple components. You are talking over here, which is about the entire thing, entire proposition, right? You can have that discussion, and you can have discussions, independent discussions about each of the collaterals, right? All this, by the way, is contained in that same link. You are not going anywhere else. If you are a company and you are having conversation with your prospect, 5 people on the other side, 3 people on your side, it's possible, both sides you can have multiple people, then you can have all the conversations of all the people, of all the collaterals on that single link. And not only that, doesn't end there. As we gather data, as the conversation progresses, you can send a follow-up pitch. It's sort of like a threaded mail. So the original pitch sort of gets frozen, which means it's still accessible, but no more discussion can happen there. The discussion shifts to the next level. So while you are discussing, you can always say, hey, you remember we guys discussed about that? Okay, let's just go. It's just a click away. You just go up, check it out, come back, continue. It's greatly integrated. This is what I think is the best-selling secret. In fact, I talk about this in many of the presentations I do, that I think we who are part of sales, B2B sales, we are answering the wrong question when we are choosing the technology or process or methodology. We are trying to answer a question which says, how do we make selling easy? And I completely believe, with full conviction, that's the wrong question to answer. The real question that we need to answer is, how do we make buying easy? If you can make buying from you easy, provide information at speed, be transparent, trustworthy, provide your expertise to your customers, you will make buying easy. And PitchLink is built for that. We have got one more slide. So please do this. Try this now. Try this now, please. Go, click on this link, and then let me show you how that helps you move this conversation from one to many back to one. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for your patience.
Awesome. So I'm gonna get back and jump in right over here. So first of all, thank you, Mr. Subhajan, for sharing these. And I do have a question for you. Wait, so I'm going to dive into that. I'm going to ask you the very first question. What did you decide to make the pitch link public? What was the thought process behind coming up with this idea of making a link public so that people can start using it on webinars? What are the challenges that you earlier faced that made you build this feature?
See, uh, Udit, the problem is that we have to talk to a person for the sales process to progress. We have to start with one person. There is no taking away from it. We may be selling it to a bunch of stakeholders, which is what the case
Mhm.
is. But you have to start with one person. You are rarely given the opportunity where you are directly selling it to three people, right? And
Mhm.
and in the current scenario, while we readjust ourselves to be in the buyer led scenario, see, it's very difficult to give away initiative, right? Lot of times when I talk to people about buyer led world, they said, so what do? We wait till the buyer comes to me? Should I disband my sales team and we should just sit at our office and wait for somebody to come and knock and say, I want to buy? You know, the fact is, that's the way the buying is happening. I mean,
So with all this COVID picture coming in right now, where people are even more desperate for sales, do you think PitchLink really fits into that criteria of helping companies and all these affiliates who are pushing links of various companies, or people doing a lot of aggressive webinars today to push it better?
absolutely. See, what you are spending a lot of time and energy in getting people into a webinar. So even if you have 20 people,
Right,
it's very
right,
difficult. You know that, Udit, right? You do it every day.
right,
You know it's not easy
right.
because people are busy and there are literally hundreds of webinars happening. Now, in that webinar, how do you, so you still have a list, this 20 have come, fine. So what do? You run a webinar. Either you are trying to do a direct sell end of it. So if you have a product which is like, suppose we are trying to sell PitchLink and it's $100 decision, we could possibly push people to buy it. It's possible that we create some urgency and we say, look, buy it. That's one way. But if it is not a
Right.
$100 product, if you are doing something for a $500 product, that decision is not going to come out because you tell them it's going to go away, or I'm going to give you a $100 discount. It's not going to happen. And B2B buying doesn't happen like that. Even if a person is convinced, the person has to get buy-in from 5 other people, right? So in that scenario, if you share the link which has your narrative, which means this guy clicks on it, as you are doing the webinar, he quickly looks at it, he finds it interesting. He said, good, I'm going to invite my colleagues right now. They can do it right there. They can invite their colleagues. Hey, I'm attending this webinar with Udit, and they have this fantastic new idea. I have already
Right,
seen the narrative. Come in, guys, and take a look at it. Let's discuss it tomorrow. And
right,
you don't have to call me. I can talk it right there. It moves. And not only that, the first thing that happens is that generic link becomes a specific link on my dashboard, I know that X person from X company has clicked in and got in and started engaging with me.
No, definitely, definitely. Since this feature just came out, I'm personally going to be replacing all my social media links that's directly going to or something. I would rather create a pitch link about just me, right? Because for my own social media, I'm just going to prepare a pitch about who am I, what have I done in the past, and how can you get connected? How can I help you? I'm just going to create a pitch about myself, right? Because that's what it's
Yeah.
all about. You're pitching all the time. So at this point of time, even if you're a solopreneur or a freelancer, it's a brilliant product. I just did not get time to update because this feature just got rolled out before we went live. So I'm already getting so many incredibly powerful ideas right now that I think morning or mostly like this week, anytime, you guys will be seeing like all my links are going to be replaced with PitchLink. I'm going to be recording a video. I'm going to be putting out there. It will be a nice couple of minute video where I'll talk about myself. Who am I? And I do want to start building up that personal relationship with each and everyone who actually clicks on it, fills in the detail, and really wants to start interacting with me. And those are the sort of people that you want to spend time with because they have really taken the time and the effort to learn more about you. And that's something that's so very incredible today, that one-to-one nurturing and one-to-one relationship is so very important. The best thing about PitchLink is you can do analysis. That's the beauty about PitchLink, that there is no like millions of software that you have to manage or millions of PitchLink. You have to get one PitchLink, right? And you can manage all the conversation, everything inside there, and you can close everything. The best thing about PitchLink is the fact that they are soon going to be leaving some integration with proposals and everything as well, where you can start closing your customers inside PitchLink. How amazing is that? Where you can start getting paid, and there's so many incredible things that's those integrations are going to be coming out. You will be missing out on all of these things. But if you don't mind paying on monthly basis, then I think it's just something that really, you can actually love the fact that you're just going to go after a month and start paying because solution like this doesn't really exist in the market as of now. And it's very hard to make this connection because Mr. Subin and his team has spent 3 years and approximately over $500,000 on building this product. That's why you see the product is so well refined. Everything works like a charm. They have achieved an industry standard of 99% bug-free product, right? Which is an industry standard. No one can give you more than 99%, not even Google. So 99% is that they have achieved. It's flawless. The idea implementation. There is so many use cases out there that you are your own limit in terms of what potentially you can do. The sad part is that when people start implementing all of these links on the social media, it will be too late for you to figure out that lifetime is over. And that's something that I don't want you guys to think about. You guys have got another day tomorrow. By tomorrow, the deal is going to end. So that's another 12 hours from now. The deal is going to end, and you guys can then go ahead and grab PitchLink directly from PitchLink's website, but it will be on subscription. But I'm going to keep the pitching side of mine aside over here, Mr. Sowanjit. So let's talk a bit more about some of the financial part. So is PitchLink completely bootstrapped, or have you raised any sort of funding? Like, is it backed up by VCs, or is it just you all in, uh, putting all your money out there? Because sometimes when an entrepreneur believes in something, they go out there with all of their funds, because they know they believe in it, even if no one does. So, what's the story behind that?
Yeah. So very simple. I've not raised any money from VCs. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's completely funded by me and a few of my friends who believe in what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing. So you can call it friends and family. That's the most dangerous money to invest,
No, I
because
completely agree.
I cannot run away from them, right, Udit? So you can
I
give excuse
completely
to VCs. You can't give excuse to your brother. You know
No,
what I mean?
definitely. I
Yeah.
completely, I
So
completely agree with you.
we
But
have some
like
very,
I think that's brilliant.
yeah. So I have some very, very close friends who have been, veterans of
Hmm.
in the tech industry. and they are not traditional angel investors. So it's not that they do it as a profession. They are
Right.
my friends first,
Right.
and they believed in what I'm. And some of them are, very senior salespeople running like
Right.
country offices of large corporations. And these are the
Right.
people. I mean, there may be 4 or 5 of them. Somebody is heading something in Middle East. Somebody is heading something in UK, and so on. Uh, these are the people who have backed me and my own money, and we just we just built it because we believe that a tool which is fundamentally buyer centric need to be built today, because
Mm-hmm.
the world has changed and we need to acknowledge that the world has changed.
No, definitely, definitely. And like I said, sales is the most important pioneer pillar of your organization.
Yeah,
Without that, forget about even expanding your business. You're gonna do nothing without being having the ability to generate sales, right? And
right.
and most of the time when you're an agency, when you're closing in a customer that's gonna average over $5,000, these things are very essential. And especially imagine with on an average, every person on social media is connected with a minimum of 500 people. That's an average start that I have seen. So if you are connected with a minimum of 500 people, trust me, people are more sneaky than you think. They do check your profile. If you think they don't, then you're lying to yourself. People are gonna go scan through every bit of the things. If they are interested in something, they'll go in to see in every single detail, each of your words, try to find out mistakes, right? If they
Sure.
don't, then you're basically taking a step forward of convincing them, right? What is the next thing that you do? Push them to your website where it's all cluttered. It's
Yeah.
not really meant to convert them into a lead, right? So this is exactly where PitchLink becomes so very handy that you can start replacing your traditional or direct website link into PitchLink, get them as a lead and pitch them. This is brilliant for any sort of agency owner, solopreneur, and again, digital marketers who are looking to acquire leads all the time. Again, like I said, in next 3 or 4 days or anytime this week, I'm gonna be updating my pitch link completely. I'm gonna be recording video. You're gonna get to know more about me, and if anyone wants to get to know me personally and work with me, then I'm instead of just sharing my website directly or my about us page, I would rather just directly share them with PitchLink because they know that in next 7 steps, I get to know everything about this guy. I know whom am I dealing with. I would know what are things are there. You get to know every bit of those details. That's so very handy. Where you're not reaching out to these people, they are seeing these in your profile. Now imagine when you're running ads or anything, there is so much more opportunities that would come in because you're not only grabbing them, but you are engaging them right then and there, which is so very important. And once you do that, it's a matter of following up and which links interface. Trust me, following up is a lot more easier process than you actually think. So that's something that I would highly recommend to start checking out. Again, if you don't believe us, just check the link in the description that we have. It's the last link. Click on it and experience yourself anytime you watch this video this week, next week, because PitchLink is not going away. It might go away from the lifetime deal, but the product is so very spectacular that I would actually pay this on a monthly basis because it's gonna give me 100x the potential ROI of what you're gonna be paying for the platform generally. And if you're even closing 5 deals, you're gonna potentially make a lot more. So the limit of how much you really want to close is up to you. And Pitchly just helps you with the whole conversation with your leads, turning them from
Absolutely.
cold traffic to hot lead and then turning them into a customer, not just grabbing the lead and then they would rot on somewhere. So that's the beauty about pitching. So Mr. Subhanjan, before we wrap up this incredible last webinar, last of many other webinars that we're going to be coming up again, whenever
Yes.
we come out with new features and everything. Um, what are some of the promises that you can make to the users who are thinking that uh, I don't know, I'm still on the fence whether I should grab it or not? What are some of the upcoming features that you can potentially drop down as a hint. I know that you don't want to like promise anything, but some of the exciting stuff that's coming up in next 1 or 2 months that can excite some of these users, I think it would be that
Yeah.
would really put some of the people on the fence who already love the product. They're like, this is brilliant, but what's coming up? Like that excitement always like kills these early adopters on all these big numbers because we're so obsessed about softwares. We're so obsessed about new features that we would always jump on board anytime there's something new coming in. So we want to know if it's coming out in next couple of months.
Yeah. So one is that this particular feature, which essentially I believe is a game changer for outreach. And I always maintain that we are about warm outreach. We are not for cold outreach, but we are actually changing the way warm leads will be generated. It's very different from sending out a mail and having people click and then starting them on a drip campaign and so on. You're really jump starting the process. So I think this is a big one. We are also going to bring in a very uh, of course it's not going to be like fully formed day one, but a library. So you will have you already start with some pitch maps and you start with some model pitches and so on, but you will get a much more industry specific bunch of collaterals that you can start with, and it'll also finally uh, end up in a marketplace. So one of the things that I heard from a lot of SMBs and MSMEs is that we need collaterals. We don't have the capability to generate the collaterals. One of the reasons you find that there's such a bit of such a lot of popularity of, say, for example, video making apps and so on, because people think that they'll be able to go and make them, but it doesn't really work out that way. When you're trying to sell, you cannot sit and make a video and so on. So we are going to have a curated marketplace geography wise, who will be able to do your copy, who will be able to do your website, who will be able to design stuff for you at a very reasonable rate. So it's not like top of the tops kind of thing, because most of the time we don't need that. We need to communicate, people will understand it, and all these people will be basically taken uh, through a training of PitchLink itself. So they know that these are collaterals not to be sent just like that, but they will be part of narratives. So they will be able to ask those intelligent questions that if you want the PowerPoint, how much of the story do you want the PowerPoint to tell, and so on, right? So
Right.
that's number two. We are also working on a uh, very exciting mobile app. I'll not do full disclosure yet, but I will tell you some salient stuff that's going to happen. So I still believe, even in the given condition of PitchLink, there is a possibility that some of the conversation will happen outside of the platform, which means, suppose I want to make a phone call to you, I cannot still do it in PitchLink. I'll have to pick up a phone and make
Right.
that call, or we have to get on a conversation like this on StreamYard or wherever we do it, like a Skype or Zoom or whatever, right? Number
Right.
two, those conversations are not captured. So if there are 4 or 5 people who are talking to each other and all that, that's not captured. So we are building a communication app wherein
Right.
you will be able to do your conversations inside the app. So if I have done a pitch, all the conversations in the pitch between all the people can happen inside the pitch, and
Oh, that's
all the conversation will be recorded and
that's gold.
transcribed and kept there, searchable. So we never have to think of going anywhere or using. So this is a matter of time, but I predict that in the next 12 months, people who are using PitchLink will not do any discussion outside of PitchLink. They'll say, no, I mean, we have to keep notes, we have to make this, no need. Let's go into PitchLink, it will be there. Our discussion will be all captured in one place, and we will be able to search it. And again, none of these things I'm telling you are new, like our Chrome extension. It's the assimilation that we are doing. That's our value add. How it basically comes together to make buying easy for the buyer. That's our goal.
Mm.
Okay.
So with that, there's one more question coming in,
Uh,
um, and the question is, Does PitchLink have the ability to complete a transaction inside PitchLink, which is ability to generate invoice and and let's say connect PayPal, Stripe, and just complete the transaction within the platform? Is there any feature like this, or do you have plans to build
Yeah.
something like this first of all?
Yeah. So the answer is no and no. We don't have the
Okay,
feature, and we don't plan to build it. And I'll tell you why.
right.
But before I tell you why, I'll tell you something else. We just begun our process of integrations. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, we don't do email marketing, right? We are going to integrate with the best email marketing tools in the world. We are going to
Right,
integrate with the best CRMs in the world. We already started one.
right,
Our integration with Zoho CRM is complete, and we are going to
right,
roll it out in the next few days. Not few
right,
days, but maybe a week, 10 days. Okay. So
right.
so we are going to do so for proposals and for payment gateway. We are going to integrate products which are built for that purpose. See what we have built, the communication and the conversation piece, that was the what should I say, the neglected child of the sales process. People used to do, "Acha, let us do it this way, let's send a mail, let us send some attachments through Google Drive, oh let's use Dropbox, oh let's use DocSend." I mean, it is completely fragmented. Our sole focus is how do we make, so our focus will be how do we help you make your pitch better and better and better. That will be our focus. We don't want to build a Proposify, or we don't want to build a Hello Sign. There's no need for it. They're good tools. We should be able to use it. It's like we are not going to build another PowerPoint. Our job, our vision is not to build another presentation software. We are building a communication software. There is a difference, right? We are building a communication and conversation software. We want people to talk to each other, because only when people talk to each other, business happens.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant, and I'm glad that that you're mentioning all of these things um, because the expectation gets very clear that okay, this is a vision of a product, right? But if you do want any sort of features coming in, you can
Yeah,
always reach out to the team of PitchLink, share your thoughts, ideas that hey, would it possible to implement this? And as long as it envisions to their vision, then I'm definitely sure that they would kicking those features in because I did recommend so many features to Mr. Subhanjan, including this one of the public links that I'm talking about. Right,
absolutely.
I was desperately waiting for it, and boom, within a matter of like week or so, the team got it up and running because it clearly was a part of their vision that it opens up so much more door for users that they don't have to just rely on sending the pitch link from inside pitch link to a lead that you have generated somewhere else, right? The whole purpose of PitchLink is that you are connected everywhere through social media, emails, signatures. Use your PitchLink. Replace those traditional links. Use them because people click them. You would be surprised to know how many people click them and try to get to know you. And some of the things that he has mentioned, you can integrate any of the calendar softwares, like Calendly, for an example, at the end of the slide, and then get them on a Zoom call. I think probably down the road, Mr. Sumanjan might even integrate, like let's say, integration if the conversations, then boom, like the meeting is done, and the native integration call can be scheduled right away with Zoom. So much more possibilities that would enable coming down the road, and with all the fellow pitch rounders coming in with the most creative ideas, I think envisioning this product and taking it to a whole new world would be a lot more easier. Mr. Soman has got a very kick-ass and badass development team. It's everything they have. All the team is in-house. You can go on the About Us page, scroll through all the team members, and if you just want to start interacting with them, right? You can always do that. They have a very open culture. The studio is brilliant. I've spoken to him many times. The whole team is brilliantly fantastic, and the way they're really driving the product is great. But I think more than that, it's the founder, Mr. Subhanjan, who comes in with insane amount of sales experience. He wasn't even born when he started selling. Basically, that's what I'm not saying. So there's so much experience that you can grab, so you can understand he's really passionate about it, and that's the reason why he turned it into a product. And he was ready to invest over $500,000 into a product. Can many founders really do that? It's not just about building the MVP. He was very certain and very clear, and he started onboarding slowly. He started onboarding users very slowly when he started with his journey of pitching, and he started building the product with some of the users that he onboarded. So he launched an MVP long back, like long back, and they onboarded over 200 users, and wanted to make sure that they don't over onboard users because they didn't want to officially launch. The kind of product was the ready stage. So you can imagine the kind of investment, right? The kind of thought process, product building, and all of these features that have been built are again user driven. It's not just that, hey, he's randomly built some random thing that doesn't work. No, all of these things have been built with the interaction of his previous users who have constantly given those feedbacks. And that's where the product has come down today. And this is something that they're again passionate about, that they are going to listen to the users because they're a user driven company, and that's something that's very rare with so many founders today, that they don't want to listen to their users. They just want to build whatever they want, right? They don't really care. But then there are founders like Mr. Subhanjit who genuinely wants to learn what the user really want and build a product around them, because ultimately he's not building the product just for himself to use, right? He's building this product for you guys so that you can improve your sales. And trust me, again, if you don't want to grab or buy the product, just go and sign up. And trust me, send your next few pitches with PitchLink. You will experience yourself, right? You will experience yourself again. Forget about lifetime deals, forget about buying. Just go and send few pitches. I can guarantee you that you will give your users a whole brand new experience. And I wouldn't be surprised that in next 5 years, PitchLink becomes sort of like a sales standard in the industry, and people would start cloning PitchLink, where PitchLink is already standard. There's only one Salesforce, there's only one HubSpot. There are millions of CRM, but there's still one HubSpot. So that's what I see with PitchLink going towards down the road. It's just going to be one PitchLink with many utterly bad clones coming out. But again, remember the reason behind building a product is not just cloning something. You can only build a successful product if you really understand the problem, right? If you do not understand the problem, you cannot solve a product just by cloning something. So Mr. Subhanin has got over 30 years of sales experience, right? And that's something that makes the product so very unique, is his ability. But again, more than that, he's also giving you free consultancy on sales, which is alone worth over $1,000. If you're struggling with sales, or if you're generating less sales, all you have to do is just sign up for PitchLink. Again, just sign up on their website. Forget about paying, forget about anything. Sign up for PitchLink and just go on the dashboard and click on schedule a call with Mr. Supan. That's all. That half an hour, is it half an hour, or is it 1 hour of your time that you're giving to them?
Half an hour right now. It
So
it often
that
it often expands.
so he's basically telling you that you can take more time, like I mean that's telling you guys. So but just apart, like that 30 minutes is probably the best 30 minutes of your life, because the kind of experience again that you can get out from him and extract from him is going to be crazy. And that alone is worth $1,000. Forget about again, like I said, buying. Just go ahead, sign up, and just get on a call with this guy. I'm telling you, you will have a brilliant experience, and there's so much learning that you will do. And that's something that he keeps sharing in his podcast, in his blog posts, and everything. He's been podcasting for so very long. And there's so many other value-driven values that he keeps sharing. So my recommendation is, again, if you're not looking to buy the product, I would just recommend you to go sign up and then just schedule a call with him. That 30 minutes would change your perspective towards how sales are done, how follow-ups are done, and how to close. This guy has closed $1 million deals, by the way, in his previous ventures. Back in those days we used to call it business, startups and all of these things. But back in those days it was like businesses, ventures, and it was crazy. There's so many other stories that he has shared with me that I think if I start sharing with you, I'll probably have to do another 10 podcasts now live, where I'll have to start sharing everything. So I'm not going to go into that in depth right now. But again, PitchLink is going off. It's going off today in the next 12 hours. So if you want to grab it on a lifetime deal, which I would recommend, you have it at 12 hours. If you don't want to grab it on a lifetime deal, and if you just want to experience PitchLink and you want to buy it after a week or 2 weeks, then you can just start your subscription. Trust me, it's regardless, it's worth it, and you need to incorporate this software. I've never ever pushed any software so much ever because uh, regardless of whatever they are, I never thought that a software can become mainstream where it can become like a needed tool, right? Because I always differentiate between a luxury tool and a much needed tool in your business. And I definitely think PitchLink falls under the must to have category. Just like you need to have a CRM, you need to stop using an Excel sheet and switch to a CRM. Exactly the same way, you need to start sending just a typical email and start using PitchLink for all your lead conversation, because that's where the magic happens. When you start interacting with them, they'll have a brand new experience. And with features like calls and video calls and all of those integrations and everything coming in, there's so much more opportunity that's going to come in for all of you guys to improve your conversions, because it's not about getting 100 leads and closing one customer. It's about getting 10 leads and closing nine of them, right? That's where you would improve your flow. It's never about the numbers game. It's always about the quality game. Remember that. So with me, I would rather have five quality customers who's gonna pay me like $100,000 a year, rather than having 100 customers who's gonna pay me what like $100, $1,000 a year, right? You would drastically improve your conversion, and that would be my recommendation. So, Mr. Subhanjan, before we wrap up this webinar, any last word that you want to share,
Yeah, yes, yes,
or any
yes, yes, absolutely. I
else
mean,
that you want to share with all these grounders?
yeah. So one is, as I said, I mean, uh, I think you have been very kind talking about my experience and all that. I'm sure there are many people like me who have similar experiences. Uh, I must tell you that for me, each of the interactions that I do, and I'm not being humble or anything here. I'm just stating facts. Every webinar I've done, every interaction I've had, and I've done lot of interaction in the last 45 days personally. Apart from my support team, apart of my technical team, I have possibly spoken to every customer who has come in, everybody who is trying. I have personally sent messages to everybody who has signed up in the last 45 days. Okay, lead generation. And you'll be surprised how much of learning I have had in the last 45 days. It amazes me to think how much I don't know. I mean, there's a lot I know, but I'm sure there's a lot more I don't. Okay. Uh, Having said that, I think working with you guys was a blast. I mean, we have had our fights, we have had our nice moments, and all the fights were good fights because we are all fighting to ensure. I must tell it to whoever is here now. I don't know how many people are there in the room today, but Udit has been constantly talking to me about what will the users get out of this, and that's and the reason I like him so much, him, Oscar, Aishwarya, the team that I work with, Val, they're very focused on the end customer, and I'm also very focused on the end customer because I believe the end customer is driving the whole economy. It is not me. It is not what product I bring. If it is not bought, that product, whether it's there or not, makes no difference. So I think this focus totally aligned my thought process with Udit and his team, Udit and Oscar and their team. People are completely focused on the user, and so are we. We are very clear that, and I'm not saying that we'll not innovate and user knows everything, by the way. I'm not trying to say that at all. Because I think what Steve Jobs said, or what Henry Ford said, that if you ask people what they need, they'll say faster horses. I think that pretty much stays, because people cannot sort of start thinking, oh, what will AI do to my going to office, or what will AI do to my ordering food, or so on. You don't expect them to do all that. I mean, they don't have the time. They have to survive. They have to do stuff. So I'm not saying that, but when you give the opportunity and tell them, look, this is what I'm building, this is what I'm thinking, and this is what technology can enable. Can you tell me what you, and you'll be surprised how much of insight will come up in an instant. And you'll say, my God, how did this guy say this? Because it's there. He knows. You need to give him the context. He doesn't know the context always. But if you give him, set the context, if you give him the lens to look at the world through, he will tell you what he sees. And that you cannot see on your own. So coming back to PitchGround, I think we have definite alignment in that thought process, and I really appreciate that. And it has been enjoyable 6 weeks, and I look forward to continuing this dialogue with your community and with the PitchLink community and the PitchGround community. With you, we'll continue to do our webinars, we'll continue to talk about use cases, we'll continue to talk about features, we'll continue to report about how people are succeeding using PitchLink. So it's not a one. So now it is, now that we have made this transition, it's on forever. It's not going to stop.
Right.
Right? So
No,
you
definitely, definitely. So there are so many webinars that Mr. Subhanjan and I already are planning. That is going to be around sales. And who knows that I might be able to convince Mr. Subhanjan to actually do a sales course. So I wanted to throw this in the live session. Because then like I could actually convince him to do that. But that also gives so many opportunities for all of you to learn, because I do make one promise that I'm going to get the best of the experiences out of him in terms of sales, and try to provide more content around sales, because I do feel that there's so much lack of content around sales in general on the internet. There are videos around Google ads, Facebook ads, SEO, content writing. There's everything. But one thing that I do see that's lacking so much is sales training, right? The ability to convert more. This is beyond PitchLink, right? But this is all about how to even create a pitch, first of all, for your users. Those things are so very essential that when you start diving into all of those things, the sales opportunity is again incredible. The smallest of the smallest details when it comes to sales. Again, don't ever mix up with sales with marketing. They're completely different, and that's one of the first mistake that a lot of people make is if they don't understand the difference between sales and marketing. So I think that's something that we do want to focus upon in the coming weeks as well. And I will promise one thing, that I will try and make sure that we do come up with incredible pieces of content for you guys around sales that will be purely value driven. You will be able to learn so much. More than that, you will be able to improve your pitches. And that's something that's very incredible, because as soon as you're able to improve your pitches, you would convert more. Sometimes it's all about just using couple of lines differently, and you can convert better, right? So it's all about those small things. It's all about understanding the psychology, and it's all about ensuring that the pitch process and the sales process is standardized, right? We're going to be talking about all of those things in the coming weeks. So with that, we will be wrapping up this session. Thank you, Mr. Subhanji, so much for joining in for this not so last, but the 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 pre-STD phase, I would say. So yeah, go ahead, Mr.
Udit,
Subhanji.
Udit, I want to have one last sentence I want to sort of squeeze in.
Mhm.
You spoke about small things, right? And there is a saying which we all know. It says the devil is in the details.
Right.
Okay? And Arundhati Roy wrote a book called God of Small Things, right? So I actually believe that the God is in the details, not the devil.
No, definitely, definitely. The small things, you never know what's going to convert. So and this is where sales comes in. You need to know what's going to convert. The moment you find out and figure out what converts, you are a salesman at that point stage. And trust me, the moment you achieve that fear, you can become a Ferrari after that. So that's what sales is all about. So with that, again, Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. I hope you enjoyed this live session with Mr. Sumunjan. I hope you got some incredibly new ideas that you can implement. And I hope you enjoyed this. We will be coming back again with Mr. Sumunjan and some of the incredible stuff post the LTD phase. So again, thank you so much, Mr. Sumunjan. And everyone have a great night if you are in Asia, and have a great morning if you're in US, and have a great afternoon evening if you're in Europe. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good one.